Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Football Friday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander. Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen. Johnny Mac, how you feeling on this Football Friday, the first week of free agency? A busy one at that. How we making a little bit of moves? How you feeling, Johnny Mac, on this Friday morning?
Yeah, still busy. A delayed start. I think that okey doked everybody, but now you have players coming in left and right. So, might be the Temu offseason. That what's I'm thinking about deeming it, but still
John, good. You're calling this the Temu offseason?
The Temu or Temu, I don't know. I'm sorry,
Temu.
I don't want to. I shouldn't do that because potential sponsor, but I mean clearance aisle off season. So, but still a lot of players coming in. I mean, if you think about it, they've signed 4 players over the past 2 days, plus the 2 trade pickups. It's a lot of players.
Yeah.
So, in that first wave. Unfortunately, the players that came in aren't as good as the players that left. But we knew that was coming. Well, you should have knew it was coming because how he laid every breadcrumb he possibly could to that end game. And that's where we are, and we'll see how it shakes out. A lot of young players, they want to step up, but creating competition, draft-proofing the roster, that part of it hasn't changed for Howie Roseman.
Good stuff there. Johnny Mac mentioned the players that have come in. You're looking at trades, all right? You traded for Kenyon Green. Remember, he was a part of the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade. Traded for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. That was your return for Kenny Pickett. And there were some draft picks involved in these. I'm just giving you guys the players right now. A.J. Dillon was signed yesterday. Joshua Uche, or 2 days ago for Dillon. Joshua Uche yesterday. And then you had Harrison Bryant and Adoree Jackson. I don't necessarily disagree with Johnny Mac, but I don't know if Temu is necessarily a glowing endorsement of the guys we picked up. But Johnny Mac, here we are now, Friday, March 14th, man, and all of a sudden this football team looks a lot different than it did the Super Bowl champion defense that shut down Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. A lot different right now, man. This looks a lot different, and I'm not saying the moves weren't right or necessary, but look, the reality is you did just have a number 1 overall defense that shut down Patrick Mahomes, and boy, that thing looks a lot different today. What are your thoughts as we kind of recap this week here? I'm sure we'll have more moves to cover today probably, but just want to give a little Friday recap for everybody on what they were able to do this week, or lack of what they did.
Well, for the people that were hoping for another splashy offseason, I mean, I guess it's a disappointment, but I think for those, who thought that way, they weren't well in tune of what was going on. So I think the people understood a little bit that and heard how we call it a maintenance offseason. We're better prepared for what went on. I am a little surprised that the signings over the past 2 days didn't resonate a little bit more because when you get new players, generally people want to be optimistic and point out the upside of it, but I haven't seen a lot of that. So I think, everyone's well aware of what they are. And, if everything goes perfectly, they'll all be backups at best.
Right.
But you need backups, and you need competent backups, and you need guys to push young players. So that part of it makes sense. But, anytime you lose players like Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, Darius Slay, and on the defense, it was just number 1 in the NFL and just dominated in the Super Bowl a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think for those who don't understand the business side of it all, it's like, just run it back. Well, they would have liked to run it back, but they can't run it back. So got to make difficult decisions.
Yep, no doubt about it. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. We'll see what they end up doing here today or what they continue to do. The one thing I was saying to somebody who was like, Adoree Jackson's not moving me. Josh Uche is not moving me. I'm like, they don't really have to move you. I think also the other thing that I think is worth talking about is this isn't even the 53, right? Like you have to get 90 names going into the summer, and then you cut it down to 71, and then you cut it down to 53.
There's no more internet real quick. It's just 90 to 53. One big fell swoop.
Oh, right. 90 to 53. But either way, you don't go to camp with just 53 names. So like you might not even be talking about backups right now. You might be talking about camp bodies. You might be talking about guys that are given competition, and most of them are veteran minimum. So I don't think there's any need to react too much one way or the other, but they're filling out the middle of the back of the roster. And I don't necessarily disagree who they've signed. No game changers, I don't think, but I think I like the upside of Kenyon Green, first round draft pick. What can Jeff Stoutland do? Josh Uche, I think, has decent upside for $1 million signing, and Adoree Jackson, I think, has a chance to be cornerback number 2. We'll see.
Adoree's definitely the best, I would say, of the signings. I kind of put them in two camps. The trade guys, they're going to be here. I don't know if they're going to be successful, but they're going to be here. Kenyon Green and Dorian Thompson-Robinson are going to be here. The 1-year contract guys, I mean, they might end up like Zach Bond. Doubt it. They might end up like Devin White.
Right.
Doubt it. They'll probably all end up on the team. With the exception of, I don't know about A.J. Dillon just from a health standpoint. So that concerns me a little bit. But if he's healthy, he's going to be on the team, I would assume. And the other guys are at worst probably going to be backups. But for all of them, if there's issues in camp, they can just move on. Whether they're injury issues. Think about Oren Burks last year. A lot of people don't remember. He got cut because he was hurt. He missed most of the first couple weeks of camp. And the Eagles just cut him and said, well, if we can get him back, we'll get him back. And they were able to do, and the rest is history. Same thing could happen with these guys. So, very low risk deals. And then you talk about the rewards. I think if you're looking at the ceiling, I think the highest would be Jackson. I think Uche would be 2. I think Dillon would be 3 from a ceiling perspective, and Bryant would be 4. Who's just, to me, Bryant's the one who's just, all right, that's a backup, And they need help at tight end. Right. They've had very little depth at tight end. But to me, he's a backup player.
Yeah, he's not a starter player. Let's run through each of them, Johnny Mac. We already mentioned Kenyon, but I do want to talk about the guys they signed. Let's go to Josh Uche first. I know his snaps were somewhat limited, but I do like the 11.5. I know it was only 1 year, but does that show you the kind of upside he has? And then I had someone reach out, it sounds like Bryce Huff. He won, 11.5 sacks and 38% of the snaps. I'm like, wow, Bryce Huff cost $18 million. Josh,
there's a big difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
There's a big difference.
For $1 million player, I like that upside. And the other thing I like about him is I think he's a little bit more athletic than Bryce Huff, where he's got a little bit more speed. And I think Vic Fangio, at least from what I've seen, has worked well with guys who have those athletic traits. Now, I might be off base, but that's how I see it. What do you think specifically of the Josh Uche signing, and what do you think he can be for this team this year?
I mean, I think it's a worthwhile lottery ticket, but he hasn't produced. I for the players that want to make the Bryce conversation, want to make the Bryce comparison. I mean, again, the Eagles weren't the only team going after Bryce Huff last season. He was a disappointment, but there are a number of teams looking to give him big time money.
That's why he got $18 million. There was a bidding war.
There was about 4 or 5 teams in on Bryce Huff. So, big difference from a perspective of how the league evaluates the player, not just the Eagles. Now, if you're coming off 2022, we might be having a different conversation, but he hasn't produced. And there was excitement last year in New England because he was going to be the number one when the Eagles were up there. He was going to be the number one pass rusher, but he was unhappy. And,
right.
wanted out, and rightfully so, considering what that team turned into. And ultimately, they did trade him at the closer to the trade deadline to Kansas City for a 6th-round pick, and he barely played in Kansas City. He didn't play in the Super Bowl. So, then you're back out there in 1-year deal. You have these visions of being Bryce Huff after that 11.5 sack year. But the reality is the league now looks at him and says, all right, well, and the Eagles took a shot. Is it a worthwhile shot because they need bodies at the edge position? I think so. I was talking about Azeez Ojulari. That's my personal preference, but I can't say there's much difference. And if this is the Eagles' personal preference, all right, bring the body in, see what he can do. Make sure you have that competition for Alex Hunt. They're going to add somebody else in the draft. I almost guarantee it. Who might make him expendable if you think about it.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's a solid signing, but it's not. I wouldn't hold my breath and expect 11.5 sacks.
Yeah, right. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
And that's how I describe all these things. If everything goes to plan, with the exception of Dillon, because there's so much uncertainty around Dillon. If everything goes to plan, they want the young players on the field.
Including, I think, right, like you said, with Shipley, with Alex Hunt, with Sidney Brown, with all these guys. So we'll see if they do get out there. I do want to ask you about Adoree Jackson, John. You've mentioned him as you think your favorite or you're the highest upside of the bunch. I wonder why his market wasn't a little bigger. Like, why did he fall off so much? Because he got that big contract a couple of years ago in New York, and he was drafted, I believe, by the Titans. This is the guy the Eagles were interested in.
Now, first-round pick. They liked him way back in the. They liked him way back in the 2017 draft. They wanted him in free agency, which would have been Nick Sirianni's first year, 2021. And the Giants gave him the big offer. So they've long had it. That's sort of a theme with the Eagles. They had interest in Kenyon Green in the draft. Dorian Thompson-Robinson in the draft. They had interest in Adoree Jackson a number of times over the years. So that seems to be something that always sticks with the Eagles. Kenny Pickett, they liked in the draft coming out before they acquired him. So that's sort of a theme with the Eagles. Haven't heard with Dillon. I advocated they should sign him a couple years ago before the injury.
Yeah,
but I haven't heard the Eagles' interest until now. Uche, I thought they might have interest last year because of the injuries at the edge. Nothing ever developed. And Harrison Bryant, I haven't heard anything about. So, but it's been a theme that the Eagles have this prior history. Green and Thompson-Robinson were here on top 30 visits. I mean, they already met the organization. Right. They're already well-versed somewhat in understanding. But and Jackson's a guy, like I said, multiple times they thought about this particular player. Now, he's 30 years old now, or he's going to be 30 years old. He's played 8 seasons. So, he's played, if you want to count the playoffs, which he's, by the way, he's got some significant experience in the playoffs because he was on Tennessee when Tennessee was good. He's on the one Giants team that made the playoffs. So, it's a different guy than when he's 22. Nobody's trying to say that. And I think part of the concern is from the league's perspective, not only that age, but he was on a bad team and he didn't start on a bad team anymore. Now, a lot of that is, they drafted a couple years ago, they drafted Deonte Banks in the first round. So you want to get that guy on the field.
Right.
And by the way, I thought he was going to be a really good player. It hasn't developed yet. It might still develop. People like to bail on those things. but guys want their first round picks on the field. So, I mean, that's part of it. I assume that the play has descended somewhat. That's part of it. But yeah, I mean, for where the Eagles are, I think this is the most valuable of the Temu signings. I do.
The nickname for the Eagles offseason right now, shopping and clearance, baby. John, how much of this is Vic Fangio fueled? Because like specifically, obviously the defensive signings. Like, how much say do you think a guy like that has? Because I had one guy reach out and he's like, "Well, look, if Vic Fangio wants him in the room, I trust Vic." And I'm like, "Well, I would agree with that. If Vic says he likes a guy or likes a player, I'm in on that. But I'm not so sure." And I was going to talk to you about it. How much Vic does have, or if any, maybe how he sends him a couple names and says, "Hey, I like some of these guys. Anybody stick out to you?" How does that go inside the locker room or inside the organization?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do think people overblow that to a significant degree. Howie's gotten very smart over the years. He's learned a lot. That's part of his ability as a GM that maybe some of the younger guys don't have. If you're getting a bunch of guys that the coordinators or the head coach don't want, it's not going to do you much good. So you want to bring him in the process, but how he makes the decisions. Like, does anybody think that Vic Fangio didn't want Milton Williams in the room? He did.
Right. That's the business side getting in the way.
Yeah. Now, Howie wants him in the room, too, if he's playing on the final year of his rookie deal. Now he's making $26 million. You see the difference? So you can't just leave it up to Vic and say, "Oh, I want Milton back. I need Josh back." Well, you got to make tough decisions.
Right. Well, those decisions are bigger. How about like a decision like we just talked about the edge, right? Where they signed Joshua Uche. You like Azeez Ojulari. Ojulari's still on the market, so my guess would be he's not going to get huge money. Like in an instance like that, do you think there's like a preference question where it's like, "Hey, Vic, we're looking at these two edges. Do you like one more than the other?" And then that might give Howie a direction.
On the other set, there's no. It's not like Vic is surprised and all of a sudden it drops in. "Hey, we got Josh Uche."
Yeah, right.
No, he's brought in on everything, but I do think the semblance of Vic wants him, you got to give him to him. It doesn't work like that. It hasn't worked. It doesn't work like that with any coach, with any coordinator. And again, as you go lower, he has the ability to have more impact, because if it is Josh Uche versus Azeez Ojulari and he says, I'd prefer Uche, they probably go Uche. Why not?
Right.
So as you go lower on the totem pole, but even because Milton and Josh were so expensive, look at Slay on defense, Gainwell on offense. If they ask the coaches, they want them back. They're not back. You got to make difficult decisions. And what is it? Heavy is the weight of the crown. Those are Howie decisions.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, Johnny Mac. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, I saw Kenny's contract and I'm like, what? You can't bring him back at that number?
No, I saw that too. I was blown away. It's like $2 million, wasn't it?
Even I saw less than that. But again,
it was like less than $1 million guaranteed, I think.
Yeah. It's like 600 and some thousand guaranteed. Slay 10 million. You can't muster up 10 million.
Well, 650 is a lot more.
He's got a much bigger role, And I know what Vic thinks of Slay. But they made the decision. Here's the problem when you talk about rookie players, because everybody talks about this. You want to get guys on cost-effective rookie deals, which is true. 100%. 32 teams think that way. But what's the value if they're not playing on the field? You know. And then if you're talking about Kaylee Ringo, this is year 3. Only got one more year after this. And then you either got to pay him, you got to cut him loose if he turns into a player. You want what if you put it off to year 4, he plays well, and then you got to make a decision after one good year. I got to pay him $25 million. You know, you want to get these guys out on the field as quickly as possible. And that's not always possible, like Quinyon and Cooper last year, because most guys need a little bit more of a ramp-up period. But you see, you know, the best indication, that's what's going on in Minnesota now with Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's talking about Aaron's waiting around because he wants to go to Minnesota. So Minnesota's having those discussions on, they got a Super Bowl roster, Super Bowl level roster. They really think they're going to Super Bowl with J.J. McCarthy, who's never played a snap of football? Now, I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl with J.J. McCarthy or Aaron Rodgers, and I love Aaron Rodgers, as people know, but he's sporty, whatever. You know, he's not the same guy. So, but that's the discussions they're having.
Right.
It's great to say you want the cost-effective guy on the field, but if he's not ready to play, he's not ready to play. So it's a very difficult thing to traverse, and it's what the Eagles are trying to do this year.
Yeah, one of the things I like that you talked about, John, yesterday was the draft proofing of the roster, and I don't think any of these signings will preclude them from drafting a certain position, but it does at least give you more lenience, I guess you could say. Like, for example, if they're at 32 and they really like a defensive tackle or a defensive edge, they're going to be able to take their pick, versus if they don't get Josh Uche and guys like that, they might feel like they have to get an edge there, if that makes sense. So I do like it from that perspective too. You draft proof a little bit, give yourself a little bit more options, a little bit more ability to go to freelance in the draft and take the player you like or the best player available or whatever it is. So I do think that was a part of the strategy here as well.
Yeah, I mean that's not new. The Eagles do that every year, basically. Yeah. It's just part of their process, and you know that is sort of to help you be disciplined, because sometimes it's hard to be disciplined and say, if you're looking at your roster and there's a big hole and there's an obvious hole, right, and there's an obvious need, so you want to have at least competency, or at least potential competency at every position. So when you hit draft day, you don't have to say, even if it's day 3, I got to get a tight end, I got to get a running back, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to be in that position, because you're more likely to miss out on a player you like at a position where you may not need as much help. So
and you're desperate. You don't make good moves and you're desperate.
Yeah. So, and they've been doing that for years, and that's just part of their process. And they're doing it again. And it's a smart way to do business. I will say that.
Yeah, good stuff there, John. Speaking of the draft, did any of the things that, I know they said it won't change it, that's what they're doing, but did any of these signings change where you think they're going in round 1? I think it's D-line. I think it's D-line round 1 and 2, John, because the defensive line in this draft is deep. It seems to be the deepest position in the draft. I feel like the Eagles they're going to, I mean, if you're telling me that, I think they're going to take and you lost 2 defensive linemen this year, really 3 defensive linemen this year. I think they're taking defensive linemen 1, 2. Did this change your draft outlook for the Eagles at all?
No, but the draft has to do with odds, and that's why I'm on the defensive front, because of the reasons you say. It's, you know, when you're picking 32, you're at the mercy of the 31 in front of you, unless you move up a couple spots. So you don't know what they're going to do. You try to get as plugged in as you want. So, you know, the Eagles, I've explained, generally go about it. They have a cluster of players they're comfortable with at a certain position. And if they're gone, they might try to move up, as happened with Devontae Smith. 4 of the 5 were gone, and they seized the moment, went up to get them. Sometimes you can't get up. And if you can't get up and your cluster's gone, then you try to trade down. And the worst position to be in is none of the players you like are there. You don't feel there's value at that particular position. You want to trade down and nobody wants to trade up. And then you have to take somebody in your next tier. But the Eagles have that all prepared as well. Some teams panic. New York Giants, Devontae Smith. They didn't get him. They went, oh my God, what are we going to do? Let's trade down. Let's get Kadarius Toney. Houston Texans wanted Andre Dillard. Now, didn't work out, but Eagles jumped up to get him. They panicked. They just took the next tackle on the board. I forget his name, but it wasn't good. Yeah. So, the draft is it's about the moment. It's about the players. It's about who's left on the board. And by that estimation, because of the depth on the defensive front and the Eagles need bodies there, you would think that there'd be somebody they'd like at that position. But there could be a bubble. There could be a bunch of guys they like, and then a little bit of bubble, and then guys they think should go in the third round. And that could shift gears. So you're just trying to play the odds when you're predicting draft and which way they'll go at certain positions.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing there, Johnny Mac. All right, Don, we recap most of what they did this week. John called it the Temu rank. Boy, John, I don't know. I'm not a Temu shopper, so I think that's I don't think that's a very glowing endorsement.
Some good deals.
Yeah.
I've never bought anything from.
I've never bought.
But I hear yeah, that's the thing. People say the Temu version of blah blah blah.
Is your wife a Temu shopper?
No, I don't think we've ever had a.
No, we've never had
purchase.
any Temu. Yeah, no Temu purchases.
It's a big Amazon purchaser.
Oh my God, everybody is. I mean, every day there's Amazon packages showing up all over the place. It's crazy. But no, good stuff, Johnny Mac. All right, John, we'll get to our first commercial break. Coming up later, we'll talk about all these moves. We'll talk about the draft a little bit more. We'll talk about guys that are still out there, what Howie could do from here, and then we'll just have a look at the whole overall philosophy of the offseason. Is this patchwork, necessary business? Does it look like you thought it would look? Are you still confident this team can compete for a Super Bowl next year? Or are they setting up for 2026? I don't think they are, but I've heard that put out there a couple of times. So we'll talk about all those things. Before we get to the break, I do want to tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. Go and check them out. You can see the promo code I put on your screen. It's YouTube 150. Gives you 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit. You get 125% on your second and third deposit, all up to $2,000. So deposit less and bet with more at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And a big thanks to them for sponsoring the show today. We'll be right back on Birds 365 in 3 minutes.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to Birds 365, a Football Friday edition here. Free agency kicked off this week. We've had a great week here on JAKIB Sports. Can't thank all you guys enough for all the views, the likes, the comments, the shares, the support. For all those who've reached out to us on social media, we appreciate each and every one of you guys for listening in, because you make the show possible. You keep the show on the air. So we appreciate all you guys. Hit that like button today for us. And in segment number 1, we recap some of the moves that the Eagles have made so far. It's now been dubbed the Timu offseason, John. I'm sticking that might have been one you regret saying, because I'll be saying that all offseason now.
I'm gonna regret that one. Yeah, that's not mine. I didn't come. I see that meme all the time. Timu version of whatever.
I haven't seen it yet dubbed though for the Eagles offseason, and I do think it's fitting.
Yeah, I'm probably going to regret that one. I'm probably going to hear about that one. But
Johnny Mac will be getting a call tonight about that one. Yo, what did you call our offseason, man? It's a maintenance offseason. It's not the Timu offseason. Stop it. We'll see what they end up saying. John, I do want to get the update, though, on Mekhi Becton and Dallas Goedert. And all quiet on the Western Front on these two guys. Goedert, I think, is easily explainable, right? I mean, you're not going to trade him now. Maybe they would release him. I doubt it. And the extension, I guess, could come, but it hasn't come yet, which makes sense because they're probably more focused on the free agency and stuff going on there. But Mekhi Becton, I know, and I know we've talked about this. I'm not going to make you say the same thing that you've said over and over again, that he's hard, but I did think there would be some market for him. I mean, he played on the best offensive line in football last year. He was a great run blocker for the best running season, maybe in NFL history. I thought there'd be a bigger market for Mekhi Becton. Now, maybe there is, and he just doesn't like the deal, or he's waiting for leverage, or whatever the case may be. But the deeper you get here, John, you lose more and more leverage. I am surprised at Mekhi Becton still sitting on the market.
I think a lot of people are, because it's always about on the field, and the quickest thing that can destroy your value is off the field, and that's injuries. And I think that's the part that a lot of people can't wrap their head around when they say, well, he played well for the Super Bowl champions. He's phenomenal. He's opened up these holes. He's done that. If everybody's concerned about that knee, they're concerned about that knee. And if they don't think he's going to hold up, they're not giving him multi-years at massive money, Will Freeze money, Tevin Jenkins money. I haven't even heard anybody interested.
Yeah, I haven't heard one rumbling. I haven't seen any report from anybody. Oh, they're talking to Mekhi. I haven't seen one thing.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati was the team a lot of people focused on, because they need a lot of help up front. And they just signed Tevin Jenkins yesterday to a big deal, which is rare this late in free agency. So there's a few outliers, but he's one of them. And that's the first time I saw Mekhi's name mentioned, because one of the Bengals writers said he's not an option. They're not interested. Why aren't they interested? I think it's the knee.
So what do you think this deal might look like when it does come down? And I'm not saying that which will be with the Eagles, but if it's knee, and let's just assume it is, because I do think you're right about that. Obviously, it could be degenerative or whatever you want to call it. Probably won't be a long-term deal. He's not going to get another $5 million deal, is he? I mean, I thought he was going to get 10.
Well, he's got, that to me would be the baseline. So to me, he's got to get more than that. So a bit, but I do think it's going to be short-term. At this point, I'd be shocked if it were 2 years. So I do think it's going to be another 1 year deal, but probably for a little bit more than that. And I would think even at that number, the Eagles are probably not apt to bring him back, unfortunately.
Even at like 1 year, $7 million?
Yeah, well, that I said 8. If it gets to 10, no way. 7, 8, 50-50, but I'm still leaning towards, I think they might move on. Why not bring him back if that's the case?
Yeah, I feel like if it's that cheap, I mean, you're not losing much, and you're probably putting.
Oh, if you would have shown me Kenny Gainwell's contract, I would have said, all right, he's back. I mean, they're making decisions to, again, get cash for what's upcoming. And if they have a young player that they think should be out there, they're defaulting to that. And they do have Tyler Steen. So,
have you seen enough from Tyler Steen to have confidence?
No,
me neither.
No, but there's a lot of things I would do differently than the Eagles. But I will acknowledge that the Eagles are generally right at a better percentage of the time. So
yeah, I said yesterday, at some point, opinions are overrated. That the resume speaks for itself. They have been.
They have more information. They have all those medical reports. Right. They understand. They have far more information. So I think people need to understand that. And even they get shit wrong. This stuff ain't easy.
No, it's not.
But I mean, I think if they, at this stage, March 14th, we're a week into it. If they wanted him back and nobody offered him big money at the start, I think he'd be back by this point.
Mekhi Becton probably out the door. Another loss on that Super Bowl champion team. I will say I won't worry as much about that because Jeff Stoutland's done such a good job. And how much turnover we had at right guard in the last 5 years? I mean, think about it. We had Sayamalu, right? Then we had I just feel like every year.
And Sayamalu was great and got paid.
Yeah, got massive money.
Yeah. I mean, look, when Eagles fans have gotten spoiled by a lot of things. Number one on that list is offensive line. If every other team in this league said 80% of it is at least all Pro Bowl, or Pro Bowl alternate, that's the floor is Pro Bowl alternate. 80% of it, they're fine cobbling together spot number 5. That's where the Eagles are. Would you like to have him back? I'd like to have him back. I think last year's offensive line, I said it was, and I got it from somebody else, but I piggybacked it. One of the best offensive lines in NFL history. I truly believe that. 4 of the 5 are back.
So how do we say that on one hand, and then on the other hand, say don't bring Mekhi Becton back for $7 million, $8 million?
Because you have, it's about more than the offensive line. Again, it's not micro, it's macro.
Yeah. I just feel like that's not enough to mess up your macro.
Yeah, but they don't think they're messing it up, as you just pointed. Is he better? Was he better than Isaac Sayamalu? No. Isaac was great.
Isaac was really good
when he left here.
Yeah.
Jeff Stoutland will talk your ear off about Isaac Sayamalu. You mention Isaac's name, you sit down, you're going to be there for 2 hours. Loved him. They couldn't keep him. If they can't keep Isaac Sayamalu, a guy who Jeff Stoutland jump on a grenade for.
Yeah, but what did Sayamalu got paid? He got like big money, didn't he? Didn't he get like 15 million plus?
I forgot. He not that much, but he got big money. Again, the guard market has exploded since.
Yeah.
But
3 years, 24 million he got.
He got big money at the time. And again, but he was the fifth guy. And that they're good. They've been good for a long time. And it's hard to pay 5 guys on the offensive line.
Yeah, and they got everybody else is paid. Lane Johnson's paid,
and Cam's getting paid. They understand what's coming with Cam. Cam Jurgens is a big part of this whole philosophy. You know, people automatically go to Jalen Carter. Jalen's the biggest aspect because he's going to get. They think Cam Jurgens is going to be at the top of the center market. He might be number 1.
All right. Do you have any information? Like, are you sure that's how the Eagles team is feeling? Because I was thinking about Cam Jurgens the other day.
Oh yeah. Don't even think about it.
Okay. They're going to bring
him
him
back. He's getting extended. Don't even think about it.
Really? They like it that much?
Yes. Yes. He's a big part of this. Big part. Reed's a big part of this. That's
where I was going. I have Reed on my paper here next. I was going to go to Reed. I think he's going to get an extension, but we'll talk about him real quick on Cam though. We've talked about whether that would come soon. We talked about maybe later in the offseason because of the back surgery. So are they in a little bit of a wait and see mode with the surgery, or is it all systems go, basically waiting for the right moment to give him that extension?
I get the feeling it's all systems go. I don't get the feeling they're worried about at all the cert, which is a good thing. As far as timing, that depends on a bunch of different things, getting your ducks in a row and all that kind of stuff. But I would not be concerned about Cam Jurgens at all. Not one iota.
It wasn't that I was concerned. It was more that I was wondering whether that they were going to give him the big money that everybody expected them to give him. John is saying emphatically yes. And I can tell when John has that look on his face, like, hey, dude, they're going to do this. Trust me. So we'll see what they do there with Cam Jurgens. Do you think that'll come in the next month, 2 weeks?
No, I've given up on, they used to do things in June. And then they did Jalen in April. And I'm like, Jody used to ask me that all the time. And I'm like, well, they did it June with Carson. It's so many things, it could be as simple as logistics. They generally like to do big productions with these high profile signs like they did with Saquon, and they want the agent there and they want family there and all that. So sometimes it's just as simple as logistics, and it's going to get done. When? I don't know, but it's going to get done.
Where do you rank Cam Jurgens in terms of centers in the NFL? I don't even think, is he top 5? Is he a top 5 center?
I think he's on the cusp of being top 5, but I think he's getting better and better. I wouldn't put him at top 5 right now. I put him top
you got
10.
guys like Ragnow, Humphrey. There's a guy, Linderbaum, I think comes to mind. There's a couple other good guys that come to mind. Who's that guy in Indianapolis? Is he still there? Ryan Kelly?
Ryan Kelly. No, he signed with Minnesota.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. Yep.
He's good. You mentioned Linderbaum. He's really good. Dahlman got a big deal in Chicago. He's good, but he was hurt a little bit. Zach Frazier was good as a rookie in Pittsburgh. But he's definitely top 10, and I think he's on the cusp of being. I'd expect him to be top 5 this year. I'd say the only 3 that are flat out better are Creed Humphrey, Frank Ragnow, Tyler Linderbaum. Those are the top 3. You can put them in any order, but those are the top 3. And then you mentioned Ryan Kelly. He's an Alabama guy, so you probably have an affinity for him. He's been hurt a lot, but he's really good. But he's getting older.
He is getting older. He was before when I was a big Bama fan.
Yeah,
but,
he was really good. I don't know how much is left, but he certainly knows how to play. Frazier has a chance to be, he had a great rookie year, so we'll see if he makes the jump. But I'd say he's right in that conversation, top 5. and he's got a chance to be, he's getting better and better and better. And that's why the Eagles, I don't know if he's going to set the market like they do with certain players, Saquon, Landon, Lane, guys like that, AJ, they didn't even set the market. They got a deal with AJ, but you get the point. Jalen Carter, they're going to set the market with. They might set the market with him. They might. That's how much they like him.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm looking, and I know this isn't everything and not everybody likes this, but I'm looking at the PFF grades. I mean, he was graded okay. I mean, he was 10th on the offensive grade. Pass blocking, he was way down. I mean, he was 20 in the 20s.
Yeah,
so
again,
that's not everything, but I'm just saying
No.
if he's going to be paid like a top 5 center, you would expect him to at least grade out a little higher.
Well, that's the thing about PFF grades, and I use them all the time. As what does Prince call me, Mr. PFF?
But you're not, by the way. I mean,
No, well, but I understand what they are. The concept,
yeah, I do too.
I try to.
Reference.
Now, in Cam's perspective, though, he was playing through a very difficult injury, and he had a bunch of bad games late, which are going to affect your grade. Because they're not taking it into account. I always use Nate Gary. Like, Nate Gary sucks. And I would tell them, and he wasn't good. I'm not trying to say he was good. I would tell them Jim Schwartz loves him, and Ken Flajola was the linebackers coach at the time, loved him. And they go, why? They can't possibly. Like. And then afterwards, after it was confirmed, he played a whole season with a sports hernia when they had nobody else. And the coaches loved him. Because he was willing to do that to help the team. It affected his PFF grade because he wasn't healthy.
Right.
So there's all these little contextual things. And with Cam, he had a bunch of bad games. He had a bad game in the Super Bowl. He had a bad game in the championship game when he came in because he could barely move. From a grading standpoint. But the Eagles think he's healthy and he's a top 5 center, and he's going to get paid like a top 5 center.
I like Cam Jurgens. I don't want to let people think I don't like Cam Jurgens, but I just wondered because of the roster crunch they're in a little bit, like would they prioritize maybe other moves there? But you seem to say they really like Cam Jurgens. We will see what happens there. John, let's move into Dallas Goedert. Still nothing on that front. I think we know it's going to take a little bit longer, but have you heard anything from the inside on any philosophy or any thought process on Dallas Goedert and what to do there? Because they signed Harrison Bryant yesterday, John. I don't know if that Timu Dallas Goedert is going to work out for you. So I don't know, man. That the tight end is at this point.
I'm gonna tape my Dallas Goedert explanation and just put my phone up and just continue to say it. Same thing. Eagles like the player. It's got to be short term from their perspective. Dallas, last chance for him to cash in. His agents checking around. Is somebody willing to give him 3-4 years? Is somebody willing to trade for him? And then they're probably going to have to wait till post June 1st. So, if the Eagles could do a Josh Sweat situation here, I think they'd do it in a second. And, even if you take out with Josh, they made him take less money, but essentially took away a year on the contract. So he'd become a free agent earlier. So he essentially played on a 1-year deal last year, bet on himself, cashed in, made a lot of money. I think they would do the exact same thing with Dallas Goedert. But it's got to be a two-way street. He's got to be willing to do it. He's still under contract, but he's got no guaranteed money left, so something's got to be done. And it's, wait and see. Wait and see.
Yep. We'll see what ends up happening there. John, we just brought up a name, and I want to get through these couple of topics. Then we're going to talk a little NFL. I do want to talk about the Cowboys and the Giants and the Commanders.
Oh, DeMarcus Lawrence. We got to talk about DeMarcus.
Talk about that. And we also looks like an old friend of ours might be joining the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah. I don't think people are going to be upset by that either, but we'll see.
Well, I don't think the Cowboys are doing very many things right. I mean, you talk about Kenny Gainwell just got $650,000 guaranteed, and they who'd they pick up for $3 million? Javonte Williams, who I don't know what
I
the
always
cap.
liked him, by the way.
I like
He's a
him,
hurt.
but
He's a
if
hurt.
Kenny Gainwell's getting 650 grand guaranteed, and you're giving $3.5 million to Javonte Williams, like I don't know about that, but
Well, I don't
really.
think anybody looks at, and I'm one of the biggest Kenny fans in the world, but Kenny's a compliment. He's a complimentary back. Like there's no upside to be a starter. Javonte Williams, there's an upside to be a starter.
Okay.
He's big, physical.
Young. I know he's young. He's like 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, he's only 24, 25, I guess, 25. He's big. He's 5'10", 220. He's already, had good years, but he always gets hurt. He had 903 yards as a rookie. Everybody was excited. This guy's going to be a feature back. And then he's settled in.
He's gone down every year, hasn't he? He did 500 last year.
Yeah, and he settled in. But that's what a lot of times you're trying to do, on a bad team, certainly 2023, at least a bad team. Then last year they were a bit surprising with Bo Nix and all that. It wasn't effective. So you're trying to buy low. But I like that signing actually. Because he's got the ability to be a feature back. But Kenny's a running back too.
Yeah, right. I see what you're saying on it.
Now, would I bet on it? No. But I think it's like if the Eagles made that signing, I'd go, that's all right. That's it. That's a nice roll of the dice. So I don't mind that at all. And they're bringing in Miles Sanders for those who don't know. Yeah, so you take a couple shots at it, maybe you find something.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about that in a second. John, I do want to ask about Reed Blankenship. You brought him up, and I was thinking about that C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade, the fallout of it, what the team looks like, what the defense looks like post C.J. Gardner-Johnson, post Slay, Milton, Sweat. Obviously, we know all the names who are gone. Reed Blankenship could be your only stability in the safety room. Do you think they're going to get a deal done with him? And if you do, what kind of deal is that going to look like for a guy like Reed Blankenship? I would view him, from my perspective at least, as a hard guy to gauge on a contract. Like, what type of money would he demand? I don't think he's going to get top of the safety market.
No.
I also don't think he's getting bottom. How do you gauge that? What type of deal you think would come for Reed Blankenship?
Well, it's going to be multiple years, number one. So he's been, he came in as an undrafted free agent. So it's a little bit different than a typical rookie. And the Eagles essentially, and they've done this in the past, started again there. They created they really created the process of buying out his, essentially his restricted free agency year early, and making it a little bit more cost effective. And they did that with TJ before. And now he's up for a bigger extension. He's, the leader of the secondary on a Super Bowl winning team. And it wouldn't shock me if he got 3 years, near $10 million. The Eagles like him a lot.
That's pretty low.
Now,
3 years, 10 mil.
Now, and again, the Eagles will make that. They'll be voidable years. They voided his freaking restricted free agency. Obviously, they'll tack on voidable years to make the cap number really cost effective. But yeah, I think he's gonna get paid more than people realize.
So
And he's in the conversation. So when we talk about salary and we talk about cash over cap and all that stuff we talked about earlier this week and what's coming down the road, and Jalen Carter's the name that most people focus on. Cam Jurgens, most people know. Quinyon Mitchell, if you want to look 2 years down the road. Cooper DeJean. Reed's in that category as well. I think a lot of people look over Reed, but the Eagles don't. The Eagles value him. So I know it's really difficult for people with undrafted free agents.
No, I like the player a lot. I just didn't know what. Look, I thought his market would be a little bit hard to gauge. You think it's 10 mil a year around there?
Yeah, and I wouldn't. That's just pure.
It's not going to hold you to it. Yeah, but just somewhere.
I think he's got to get more money than people think. Is how I would describe it. But
I mean, if he got 10 mil a year, that'd be bigger than what. I mean, what did Gardner Johnson sign back there for?
It was like 8, 9, somewhere in that range. 3 years, might have been 3 years, just under 30, I think, somewhere in that range. But speaking of undrafted free agents, one of my favorite Nick Sirianni quotes. I asked him one time at rookie camp. I asked him about the tryout players one year, and I asked him, you only get to see these guys. Rookie camp is like 48 hours. You only get to see these guys for 48 hours. What can they possibly do in that time to stand out? Where you say, all right, I gotta sign this guy. I gotta bring this guy into the organization. And he was talking about and he said, he's got the philosophy, and the philosophy is don't miss Adam Thielen. Don't miss Adam Thielen, which I love for 2 reasons. One, my buddy Teron Davenport can tell you this. I was on Adam Thielen early. He's one of the best route runners I've ever seen. He just signed with Carolina another year.
Yeah.
I think it's his 12th year. Somewhere.
I like the signing for Carolina. Good for Bryce Young.
He's 34 years old. He's still in the league. Pro Bowl player in his prime. He's got 685 catches, 8,311 yards, 64 touchdowns. At some point, he not only was undrafted, he was not signed as an undrafted free agent. He had to go the tryout route. And he turned into what he turned into. So for people that think undrafted guys can't turn into something, Nick Sirianni, don't miss Adam Thielen. There's always guys like not at that level. I talk about John Randall. I cover John Randall. That's when the draft was 12 rounds. That's how old I am. Mm-hmm. He wasn't drafted when it was 12 rounds. He's in the freaking Hall of Fame.
It's incredible. How many undrafted free agents are in the Hall of Fame? Any idea?
No, but there's a number. I can look it up. Yeah, I mean, again, those guys are outliers, but they exist. And I'm not saying Reed's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, I know.
Legit NFL starting safety.
Yeah, you're saying don't write him off because he was undrafted. I agree with you. He's been really good here in Philadelphia. I mean, he's been really, really a good player. We'll see what they end up doing with him. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL. I just mentioned that, John. John, last thing I want to talk about real quick on the Eagles right now, and we'll circle back. I do have a topic for after our NFL talk as well. Players that got to step up for the Birds. We'll talk a little bit about that later in the show. John, in order of business that I haven't seen anybody talk about yet, any changes coming to the special teams? Rick Lovato is a free agent. Will he be back? I know he's a free agent every year, but I don't know. He's getting up there in age. I heard a little rumbling that he might not be back, and not that it matters much, but any other change you think coming on special teams?
Oh, well, special teams is, I mean, that's unfortunately
bottom of the barrel.
An afterthought, basically. And that's why Michael Clay and all the special teams coordinators have such a difficult job because, you got to see who's going to make the 53. And very few teams, I don't think enough teams sign players specifically for special teams. Now, you can't do that a lot. But I think every team should have 1 or 2 guys that they sign because he's really good on special teams.
Yeah, right. That makes sense.
New England has done it for years with Matthew Slater, and there's very few teams. The Eagles have been one of those teams. Years ago they brought in Rudy Ford, who stuck around for a long time in this league and actually became a starter, not a very good starter, not here, but elsewhere for at least spans. But he's one of the best gunners I've ever seen in my life. And, he started, I'm looking up Rudy, in 2017. He was still in the league last year. We'll see if he sticks it out for another year. He's great special teams player. And you think about here, Chris Maragos would be most notable. Brian Bremen. The Eagles used to do it more often. Now, in this era, they've seemed to circle into more of, all right, these are our backups, so these are the guys that are going to have to.
I feel like the
sell.
roster's gotten so good that they haven't been able to get special teams guys as much.
But Ringo turned into a really good special teams player. Nolan Smith, I mean, they were having some issues early. They put Nolan, to his credit, really helped late in the season. But yeah, that Tavier Thomas kid signed with somebody. I don't remember who he signed with, but he's a great special teams player, and whoever signed him.
I feel like the Eagles have gotten rid of quite a bit of special team, good special teams guys recently. Like, do you remember Josh Jobe was super good? Who else?
Yeah,
Who else?
Yeah, they
really
don't do it. For years with Maragos and Bremen, they were special teams guys. I mean, Maragos was a safety and Bremen was a linebacker, but they weren't relevant at those positions. Yeah, they don't do it as much as they used to do it. And I think teams that do it, you can't do it a lot. We're only talking about one or two players, but if you got a really good special teams player, I'd keep them if I could.
Yep, good stuff there, John. Let's talk about the NFL world now. Let's go to Dallas because Texas. We got our guy Texas boy is in the chat. All right, who are our other resident Cowboy fans here? Because we got some Cowboy talk coming. Where's my boy Blue Virus? Come on, man. Come on. Come on in. Let's talk some Dallas Cowboys. But first, we'll talk about who they signed. But what do you make of the Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence Twitter spat yesterday of D-Law saying I wasn't going to win a Super Bowl in Dallas, and Micah calling him, what do you call him, envious or jealousy and envy or whatever the heck it was. And then D-Law claps back, says maybe if you weren't podcasting, I would have stuck around. Boy, busting out the seams in Dallas, Johnny Mac. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think DeMarcus Lawrence verbalized what a lot of people think, and obviously it's going to upset people in Dallas or Cowboys fans. But so basically, he said, Dallas is my home, made my home there. My family lives there. I'm forever going to be there, but I know for sure I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there. That's harsh, man. That's harsh. But I think we all agree with him.
Yeah.
But to do that to a team that you've been with for so long, I think, a lot of people are going to take that the wrong way. Probably didn't need to say it.
You could tell he kind of hesitated right before he said it too.
But I wouldn't disagree with anything he's saying. And then Micah clapped back, as Mike is prone to do. And he said, which is great, maybe if you spent less time tweeting and more time winning, I wouldn't have left. So a shot at Micah. So I don't know if DeMarcus is going to be welcome back in Dallas, but he's going to live there. Nice place to live. No state taxes, all that kind of stuff. Decent weather. But yeah, I mean, that's it's hard to disagree with what DeMarcus Lawrence said, though. I mean, the Cowboys don't do things the right way. And if they did, they'd be frightening because they have more money than anybody. But they don't do things the right way.
They really don't. It's like they can't get out of their own way. What do you think about Micah's response to it? You're petty, and then he claps back and takes a personal shot at Micah. Maybe if you were in a podcast or so, I'll tell you what, John, we joke about the podcasting. I do think it matters. I mean, and this is the first public show.
I don't disagree with that. I don't want any of my players doing a damn podcast.
Yeah.
But you can't stop it. It's just
can't stop it, but I think they try to manage it the best they can.
Well, I think everybody recommends don't do that. We were talking to Dorian Thompson-Robinson yesterday. One of the things he was talking about is top 30 visit. And one of the things the Eagles did was they put him through, and I've heard this before, and they do it, not just with him, but with a lot of players. They put him through mock press conferences because of the, devastating Philadelphia media. They put him through mock press conferences to try to get him prepared. They don't even know if they're getting these players, but they do that. There's no team in the NFL that wants their players doing podcasts. I guarantee you, Aaron Rodgers, everybody, whether it's Pittsburgh or the Giants or even Minnesota or whoever might sign Aaron Rodgers, are going through, what's he going to do? The freaking McAfee show every week. He's going to say shit. He's
going to stroll on the beach and get people talking.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want any of that. Any of that. And, if we're up to the teams, the Eagles wouldn't have wanted Slay to do his podcast. You see all that created out the door because he's talking about Reed being the leader and CJ gets upset by it. Yada, yada, yada. There's just no good that comes of it from a football team standpoint. But you can't, it is still a free country. Last time I looked, and people are allowed to do what they want to do on their own time. But yeah, it's never a good thing. And what I say about the Cowboys, they're one of the best drafting teams in football. And I've talked about Will McClay a lot. And on the list of scouting executives, we talked about centers. He's top 5 minimum scouting executive. They do a lot of things right, but the overall roster building philosophy, which is spearheaded by spearheaded by Jerry Jones, is a freaking disaster. That's all we're talking about. It's stupid. He doesn't learn from mistakes. We talk about Howie learning from mistakes. He doesn't. Does the same damn thing. And he's on record now saying, I'd like to keep the Cowboys in the headlines. You're a moron. I shouldn't say that. I always love people when Elon Musk, because all the political ramifications now. You got 1 million people on his own platform, ironically, that he spent $55 billion to get, calling him a moron. Well, yeah, when you make $55 billion, maybe you can call him a moron.
Happy to hear that we agree on this, John.
So I hesitate. I shouldn't have used that term when I talk about successful people. But in the realm of football,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
His roster building philosophy is a disaster.
There's only one explanation in my mind. He truly doesn't care about football. I really believe this. I don't think Jerry truly cares about having a good football team or a Super Bowl football team year in and year out. Like I think Lurie wants to win Super Bowls. I think most owners want to win Super Bowls. Maybe not most. Maybe it's 5 to 10. I'm not sure what the number is. I don't think Jerry cares. I think he wants to be the most entertaining franchise in sports. He's an entertainment guy. I think he wants to be the most entertaining team and the most valuable team, and they are.
Well, they are the most
winning in his eyes.
Yeah, they are the most valuable team.
Oh, absolutely. So. And that's not changing anytime soon.
Josh Uche's deal is in, courtesy of Mike Garafolo. 1 year, $1.92 million with $1.25 million guaranteed. $750,000 signing bonus, another $500 base salary, $500 in sack incentives. So basically, he got a 1 year veteran minimum deal with incentives, if you want to read that the way it should be read, and 4 Boyd years on the back end. So even with that, they're using Boyd years on the back end.
Yeah. There you go. There's the deal there. I do want to talk about what some of the other NFC East teams did in free agency. Look at Joseph Alvina. Joseph, I love you. I don't even know if you're a listener or not. He says, is this a Cowboys show? Brother, we have been live this week for 9 hours and 15 minutes, and 9 hours and 13 of those minutes have been on the Philadelphia Eagles. Alvino, take a deep breath. All right, we can talk about a little bit of NFL. Don't you want to be a more educated fan? Let's talk about the NFC East a little bit. Come on, Alvino.
That's weak. That's weak, man.
That's very weak. I mean, we literally spent 2 minutes on Jerry Jones. I mean, come on. And it was I thought it was a good thing to talk about because of shows you some of the disruption in Dallas. But speaking of the moves that the teams made, John, any moves that any of the NFC East teams made that stick out to you? I will read off a couple of them. Dallas brought in Javonte Williams. We talked about him a little bit. They re-signed that Osa. They brought in an offensive guard, Robert Jones, edge, Peyton Turner. Kyer Elam, they acquired in a trade, the cornerback. I didn't think that was a bad move. If I remember correctly, he was decent. Linebacker Kenneth Murray, Solomon Thomas, Marquise Bell. So a bunch of dudes in Dallas. They re-signed Kevontae Turpin, by the way, as well, who we talked about special teams a little bit ago. He's a good special teams guy. Any thoughts on the moves that Dallas made? In your opinion, did they get any better on the football field at all, John?
Yeah, I think they improved a little bit in the secondary. I don't mind the Williams signing. I know the Tennessee people were kind of laughing about the Murray trade. He's a big name, but he hasn't. So I think that might excite some people. But Osa is a very good player. I mentioned that. Doesn't surprise me. That's a good deal getting him back.
Once I saw that Osa contract, though, John, I knew Milton Williams was getting 20, 25. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah, that's how it works. I mean, but and again, not that he's not a good player, but the Cowboys wait too long probably, and they got to pay a little bit of a tax. It's just the way. That's what we're talking about. That's the way they do business. So, it's okay, but no, nothing that would fear me unless you're talking about Miles Sanders. You miss Miles. I'm joking. So Miles is with the Cowboys as well. That's going to be, I don't know if it's official, but it's going to be official. I mean, the Cowboys are going to be better because the quarterback's going to be back. And I know Eagles fans don't want to hear that, but you can argue that Dak Prescott doesn't deserve the money he's getting. He's not a top 5 quarterback. You can debate all that and probably be right. Still good. And if you got a good quarterback, you got a chance to be good. They're not going to be great, but they got a chance to be good.
Good stuff there, John. You look at some of the other signings in the NFC East. Let's go to the Washington because I think they're going to be the team that competes with us this year. I don't think it's going to be the Cowboys or the Giants. Now, the Cowboys will be better because they're going to get their quarterback back. So they're obviously going to be better. But the Commanders, John, have made a litany of moves. And, I don't know. Maybe it's my Eagle glasses. I don't love all the moves they made. I like Tunsil. I kind of like Debo because I thought it was super low risk. You sent a 5th-round pick for him for a 1-year deal, basically. But
you're also getting a contract. I mean, I didn't like the Debo move at all. At all.
I didn't like it because I don't think the player is what he is anymore.
Well, exactly. I mean, San Francisco.
Well, they didn't give him a contract, did they?
Washington, no, but they acquired his San Francisco contract.
Yeah, but it's only 1 year left, right?
Yeah, but that's why, when people say, why does Debo Samuel only get a 5th-round pick? That's why.
Yeah, that's
fucking
why.
Contract.
Paying him what, $20 million this year? Yeah.
And I don't think he's nearly the player he once was. Plus, he's always been a manufactured touch guy, a gadget, and he plays more than that, but he doesn't run routes. So I'm saying, are they going to be disciplined enough as Kyle Shanahan to get him involved in all these different ways? I'll believe it when I see it. Similar to the Eagles fans, they're going to use this guy this way, this guy this way, this. It never comes to pass. Very few guys have the discipline to keep those manufactured touch players involved throughout the game. You might see in the first 15 scripted plays or however many coaches do in a particular city. You might see 2 touches and they wow you. And then you say, why don't they get the ball back to so-and-so in the guts of the game? Because they're off script. And then you got to be very disciplined. You're just trying to get first downs. You're trying to move the football, and you're trying to use conventional football plays to do it because that's the easiest way to do it. And then you got to think in your mind, oh, I got to get Debo involved because he's not running routes.
Right.
And when he does, he's not very successful at it. So I didn't like that move at all. I think it's a big splashy move that.
How about the fit with Kingsbury though? Because like you said, I mean, he's the manufactured touch guy. He had the best manufactured touch coach in the NFL. Now he's got
the first time he was the first time he was complaining to get out. I said, be careful what you wish for, because the next coach isn't going to use you like this coach. And unless you start learning the other stuff, you're going to get lost in the sauce. Cliff Kingsbury's a spread guy. He's not a manufacturer. I don't know, but I guess because of the college history, he's not Kyle Shanahan. Did a very good job. I like Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's a very good offensive coordinator. But he's not. Occasional jet sweep like everybody. And they'll probably do it more with Deebo Samuel because they have him. But I guarantee you're going to be watching Commanders games next year, and he's going to be involved in the first 10, 15 plays, and then he's going to get lost. And you're going to go, why aren't they getting the ball to Deebo? I guarantee it.
So you don't like that move. What about the Kinlaw move, John? Because that was the other big one. I didn't like that move at all. But
well, that move to me has a lot to do with the Eagles, from the perspective of they let a better player walk. Now, Jonathan Allen is a little bit older, more of a pass rusher. And what do you got to do to beat the Eagles? Well, it's nice to have a pass rush, but as the Rams proved, you better figure out how to defend the run. And Allen was more pass rusher than run defender. And I think they're trying to Kinlaw is probably a little bit better defending the run. And I think that's the mentality of it. But I look at the level of player. To me, it's not even close. So I thought Adam Peters and Allen, for all the people that say he was hurt and blah, 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 he came back for their playoff run. It was freaking phenomenal. He was unbelievable. That's when I had a bunch of Eagles fans just signed Jonathan Allen. I'm like, he's going to be expensive. I don't know what he got, but he got 3 years, 60 or something like that. He's still going to be expensive.
I think he got like 40 million guaranteed too. So he got big money.
He really played well when he came back from that injury. So to me, they've downgraded just from a pure talent perspective, if you're talking about that particular move. But I get why they did it, to stop the run, to stop the Eagles, to stop Saquon Barkley. But I just don't think the player is that good. And I think to Adam Peters, I thought he did a great job as a rookie GM. Now, here he's getting Deebo Samuel, San Francisco, Javon Kinlaw used to be in San Francisco. It's like, dude, all right, the guys. We get it. There are other players. Don't get hyper-focused on, people you have a personal history with. I get that kind of feeling.
Reminds me of Daryl Morey is what it reminds me of. Not going to lie to you. Let's go to Super Chat here. Brian Pumper checks in. NFC East offseason is a whole lot of mid. Dallas picking up washed. Commandos picking up everything and everyone over 30. Howie picking up bums. Giants met. I don't know if I disagree with Pumper on this.
No, I don't think any of the teams have made. I guess Washington, by conventional thinking, would win the NFC East in the offseason because people know the names more. But I don't love what they did. The Eagles Yeah, the Eagles are in a tame offseason. I guess the Giants, I like some of the moves. You got the Giants moves?
I got the Giants moves here. Yep. Giants got let's see, I'll run down the list real quick. QB Tommy DeVito, wide receiver.
I don't like that. That's exclusive. By the way, that's exclusive rights. Tommy DeVito.
Darius Slayton, wide receiver. I didn't love that move. 3-year deal, $36 million. I didn't love that.
He's okay.
Not my favorite. Tight end Chris Manor, it's re-signed. Offensive tackle Stone for Scythe. Offensive tackle James Hudson, 2-year, $12 million deal that has a max value of 16. So that's potential starting money there. Edge Chauncey Golston, 3-year, 19.5. Defensive line Roy Robertson Harris, 2-year, $9 million. Linebacker Chris Board. Cornerback Paulson Adebo. You've talked about you like that deal a lot.
Love him.
It's a big deal though, man. 3-year, $54 million deal for Paulson Adebo, $36 million guaranteed. And then safety Javon Holland, 3-year, $45.3 million deal.
Yeah, I think they got those two players. I think they got a lot better.
Yeah, I liked Adebo and Holland. Yep.
Yeah, I think they got a lot better in the secondary, and they got a bunch of offensive linemen. Hope they're talking about offensive line with the Giants for years. They never corrected. They try. I think they better focused on. They should be more focused on coaching maybe than players, because they brought in players other than Andrew Thomas, who's a good player. He got hurt last year, but Evan Neal, Will Hernandez, they haven't developed these high traits players. So I got to look at their coaching, and they've shuffled offensive line coaches. So they got to find the right guy there. But, they've been trying. They just can't fix that stinking offensive line. But I think they got much better in the secondary.
Yeah, they didn't really sign that many offensive linemen, and their offensive line stinks. They got James Hudson and Stone Forsythe, and Stone Forsythe is a depth guy. James Hudson, a 2-year, $12 million deal. I don't know if he's going to be.
Maybe that's where Mekhi Becton ends up.
Who's their guard? I don't even. Hard to know. And
yeah,
when you're
I'd have to. They're so
the
bad.
bottom dregs. Yeah, we're busy with.
Now they'll get Andrew Thomas back. Andrew Thomas is a legit top tier left tackle, which is obviously a big position, and that really affected them, to say, as it affects everybody if you lose an offensive lineman, and he's their only offensive lineman. That's the problem. Only top tier offensive lineman. Now, John Michael Schmitz is their center. He's very young, so, maybe he can develop, but wasn't great. I did see a note that they were going to try to re-sign Greg Van Roten, who was one of their guards last season. Mid to use pumpers. John Runyon, they're going to run it back. They signed him as a free agent last year. Wasn't great.
Yeah. St. Joe's prep guy, John Runyon.
Yeah. Obviously should know his father.
John
and then Thomas should be back. Thomas is really good. And then Illuminor's terrible. And Evan Neal has been terrible. And you mentioned Stone Forsythe. So they still have a lot of issues. Maybe Runyon gets better in year 2. They seem to like Van Roten. Maybe Schmitz gets better, but a lot of maybes in there other than Andrew Thomas.
Yeah. Stone Forsythe. How about that name? John, one team I like basically almost everything they did, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. But I have a hard time believing
Super Bowl roster, don't have a quarterback.
Are you a believer at all in J.J. McCarthy?
No.
Not until we
Here's the thing about J.J. McCarthy. Well, I've said two things. When they drafted him, I said, how could you be a top 10 pick and they don't even throw the ball at Michigan? And people say he's a winner. He's always won. Well, obviously Michigan won the national championship. They won a lot of games. And in college, it's about, talent and recruiting more than anything else. But they would run the ball literally for quarters without throwing it. Literally. That's not like they're run heavy like the Eagles or the Ravens were in the NFL. No, they would go entire halves without throwing the football. So from how could you take a top 10 pick with a guy in that type of system? It might not even be his fault.
Yeah, it reminds me of Jalen at Alabama. When I was a freshman at Alabama, I watched his whole rookie year. He barely threw. Literally barely threw.
I'm saying, how could you do that? So that was number one, and maybe that's not. Then he played in the preseason. He had a phenomenal game, by the way. Preseason football. Who cares? And everybody's all excited, and he's going to be the starter. He's going to be the week 1 starter, and this and that, and this and that. And then 2 days later, he's got a torn meniscus, and he's out for the season. He's very slight. He's like 195 pounds. Now, he lost a bunch of weight during rehab. I think I mentioned this earlier this week. One of the underrated parts of playing quarterback is durability. There's how many times do you see a starter get injured and then the backup comes in and gets injured right away? He's not used to playing. Whereas guys like, actually, you don't even have to go out of Minnesota. When Kirk Cousins was there, that dude was an Iron Man right up until he wasn't, and he tore his Achilles.
That was the first time he ever got hurt, wasn't it? In his, or like missed time, not got hurt. We know he gets hurt all the time, but I mean like missed time.
But he would play through so many injuries. Then he tore his Achilles, and guys are getting hurt left and right. The durability part of it. You think JJ McCarthy's lasting 20 games en route to the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I feel like every player is different. Like even like Jaden Daniels, he's tiny. He's tiny. I said the same thing. I'm like, is this guy going to last? Now, he lasted first year. Let's see how he lasts in the future. But
that's
a little bit different.
That's fair. But he's already gotten hurt. JJ McCarthy's already gotten hurt.
Yeah, right.
Like I wouldn't be bringing this up if he made it through one preseason game.
Yeah, right.
I literally, he became the first quarterback in NFL history that was taken number 1 in the draft that missed his entire rookie season. He didn't make it through one. So one of the things I said about Minnesota, like it's fine. They wanted, Sam Darnold. We're going to piss off that one commenter. We're not talking about the Eagles for 2 minutes. But anyway,
I want to talk about the NFL. It's free agency week. This is
I'm joking. Now you can't re-sign Sam Darnold, but I thought Minnesota would re-sign Daniel Jones to be the safety net. And they didn't get it done. So they lost both Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, and they lost Nick Mullins to Jacksonville. They had the deepest quarterback room in football on purpose because of what happened the year prior. Now they don't have anybody. Brett Rippon is their backup quarterback to JJ McCarthy. And the rest of that roster is Super Bowl level. And that's why you're starting to hear the Aaron Rodgers talk. Now, I'll tell you, I'm sure Aaron wants to play in Minnesota. I don't think they're making the Super Bowl with either of those guys, but I will say this. I could see them catching lightning with Aaron Rodgers. I can't see him catching lightning with JJ McCarthy.
Unless he has some sort of Jaden Daniels-like first year starting. I don't see it either. If you look at the moves that they made, John, I mean, really good moves. Aaron Jones, all right, 2-year deal, brought him back. Will Freeze, offensive guard, 5-year, $88 million. Center, Ryan Kelly.
Will Freeze, by the way,
is not that good, but they're boosting the offensive line, John. Eagles are spoiled, man. We're spoiled with the offensive line. Guys overpay for offensive linemen who are mediocre because there's not that many good offensive linemen.
If you want to talk about the smart nature of how the Eagles do things, understand that Will Freeze, who I think is a good player, now makes more money than Landon Dickerson.
That's insane.
That sums it up. But yeah, they got Freeze. They got who's a good player.
Kelly, they got Jonathan Allen, Hargrave, Byron Murphy, Isaiah Rodgers, Theo Jackson, Harrison Smith, I mean, they got some players, man. They got some guys, and they got trenches. That's what I like what they did.
Yeah, their two biggest weaknesses were interior offensive line, interior defensive line. They got Ryan Kelly and Will Freeze, who are good, really good players, and Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, who are really good players. So Javon was hurt last year, but when he wasn't hurt, for people that don't know, he was killing it as a pass rusher in San Francisco, just like he killed it here. Not the best run defender, obviously, but never has been. I talked about Jonathan Allen from Washington's perspective. Great player for a long time. Ryan Kelly's one of the better centers if he stays healthy. Will Freeze is, huge upgrade. And they have all the skill position players you could possibly need. Maybe the best skill position group in the NFL overall. But they don't have the quarterback, man. I covered that team. That is a tortured history. They've had a lot of good teams. Nobody's made more playoffs. Nobody's won more games and not won a Super Bowl than the Minnesota Vikings. It is a tortured history. They have a great team again. They don't have a quarterback.
We'll see what they end up doing, Johnny Mac. John, good stuff there around the NFL. I know people love to talk about the Birds all the time. I do too. I'm with you guys. But this is the week of the year, really, time of the year when there's so much continuity. If you don't stay up to date, I don't know. You guys spend a lot of time watching football content, and I love that about you all. I'm like you guys. I love football content. I like to know about the league. I don't. Maybe you guys don't. I like to know about the league, certainly. So I did want to touch on some of that. I think some teams made some pretty good moves in the league. We talked about the Bears as well. They made some good moves. I like what they did on the offensive line. So we'll see how the league looks moving forward. John, let's get back into some Eagles talk. I do want to ask you, all right, with all the changes, we talked about the changes. We talked about the Temu signings, John. Give me some players, John, that have to step up in 2025 if this team wants to compete for a Super Bowl again next year. I'm talking about if they don't, your defense probably not going to be as good. Who are some players that come to mind when you talk about have to step up in 2025 for this team to compete for a Super Bowl?
Well, the obvious ones, Kaylee Ringo, Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith has got to keep it going.
Yeah.
Nakobe Dean's got to get back. Sidney Brown. These are the young players that they want to step up. And they're going to try to have safety nets and insurance plans. And there will be draft picks that could make it a lesser need. If they take an edge rusher, maybe the draft pick can step up. If Jalix Hunt doesn't, or Nolan Smith doesn't go where we project him to be. If it's, if they draft a safety, maybe it's that safety instead of Sidney Brown. If they draft a corner, maybe it's that corner instead of Kaylee Ringo. But, then you bring in the Adoree Jacksons of the world and players like that as insurance. And, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he was starting early in the season. Probably not a good thing. Certainly not where the Eagles want to go. But again, they proved it last year with Tyler Steen. They wanted Tyler Steen to win the right guard job. He didn't win it. And they shipped it to Mekhi Becton, who was a 1-year, $5.5 million signing after the draft. So remember how late Mekhi Becton. There's a lot of ways you can go about faith. That's why Howie always says this. Even after the draft, talent gathering season doesn't end in his mind till the trade deadline. Trades. If they're likely to add an impactful player, it's likely going to be through the trade market. And they've already used the trade market twice. Now, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's here to make sure that Tanner McKee's ready for the backup job. And if not, maybe he can get going. I don't love that, by the way. And then Kenyon Green. I mean, yeah, he played terrible in Houston, But obviously, he's got top-tier traits from the NFL's perspective as a 15th overall pick in the draft. Can Jeff Stoutland tap into that? If Jeff Stoutland can tap into that, you can argue they might even be in a better position. But that's a big if. That is a big if.
Big if, because he has not been very good in his NFL career. So we will see what they do there. John, one name, I got a list of 5 here, or 4 names here. And you hit on most of them. All right. I put Nolan Smith number 1. Number 3, I had either Sidney Brown or Tristan McCullum, because I will remind people that when CJ was out of the game last year, Tristan McCullum came in. It wasn't Sidney Brown. It was Tristan McCullum.
Injury related, not performance related.
So Sidney Brown didn't play there because of his injuries, but he was playing special teams.
Yes, he was not healthy.
All right, and then I have Jordan Davis at 4 because I think you're going to have to, have a dominant D line again to help those linebackers and stuff. Number 2, John. Here's what I have. I have Jalen Hurts, and I have Jalen Hurts for a very simple reason. There's a lot of turnover on this number 1 overall defense. So if your number 1 overall defense becomes the number 8 overall defense, that's going to fall on the offense to be able to make up that difference and win games offensively next year, make up for any fall off you have from that defense, from the losses on defense, in my estimation, has to be made up by the $200 million offense. And that obviously comes down to Jalen Hurts. So I put Jalen Hurts on my list because I think he's going to have to step up if the defense does regress in order for the team to be great, in order for the team to compete. He's going to have to get that much better.
That's disrespect.
No, nah.
I'm joking.
I know you are.
But... yeah. Did you see the Pete Prisco podcast thing
with the Barstool guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, people are insane. But anyway.
Well, wow. I want to hear your take on it.
Prisco's. I'm not a big fan, but and some of the stuff he says is, like Trevor Lawrence. I mean, yeah, you got to give up on that, at least until Trevor Lawrence turns his career around, which he might. He's certainly got a lot of talent, but he hasn't done anything yet. But just the insanity of the disrespect there, like everything's not disrespect. It's like, it's, I don't know. It just amuses me. But the one point I thought that Prisco nailed, and it might have been the only point, is these are the same people that ripped Jalen to high hell during the regular season, and then he plays well in the Super Bowl, and it's all over. Oh, you can't say anything bad about the guy. You can't say anything constructive. Like what you just said, he needs to step up. Well, these lunatics would take that. I joked. I'm laughing about it. These lunatics would take it as disrespect. Because how could a guy be the Super Bowl MVP and need to improve one iota? Which, by the way, Jalen Hurts would laugh at. As a guy who's incredibly driven, and incredibly focused on getting better every day of his life, and he got this whole lunatic fringe of like treating him like he's a baby, a literal baby, and you got to treat him with kid gloves. Oh, you can't say that. You can't say that. You can't say that. There were large swaths of this season where the passing game was a fucking disaster. There's my first F-bomb of the day.
We've been pretty F-bomb free recently.
Yeah. It's just insanity. It's insanity to me.
Yeah, it is.
That's all.
I think Keese is right. I mean, look, there's fans and there's groupies. I think that's a good word for them. Groupies. Look, you can't have a conversation. Like I don't want to talk sports with people who are unwilling to have a conversation about anything. I mean, and there's a lot of those people. That's what social media has created, John. But anyway.
But anyway, that and there's people on the other side. Don't get me wrong, who don't want to admit he's a good player. But there's not a player in the NFL from Myles Garrett, Lamar Jackson on down who you can't say needs to improve at something.
Patrick
And
Mahomes needs to improve. I mean, everybody needs to improve.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know why that's disrespect, but evidently to a large swath of Eagles fans, that is disrespect.
Not disrespect, in my opinion. Johnny Mac, what's the order of business you said you had at 10? John has to run about 8 minutes early today. What's the order of business?
AJ Dillon, the great AJ Dillon.
Woo!
Little Zoom conference call with AJ Dillon. Try to get a little clarification on what went on with him with the injury. I'm sure, it's not something he wants to revisit. But I mean, when you miss an entire season, that's got to be somewhat of a concern. But I did, it makes it a little bit more interesting to me, and I haven't seen Dillon's contract numbers yet. I assume it's better and minimum. There's probably some incentive similar to what I said about Josh Uche. Probably got a similar deal to that. But when I see Kenny Gainwell's contract, I'm like, what am I missing there? Other than, because I know what Nick Sirianni thinks about Kenny Gainwell. I know what Jalen Hurts thinks about Kenny Gainwell. What am I missing? Other than the Eagles think A.J. Dillon's a better backup running back.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't think when they signed him, I said to myself, well, I mean, maybe Gainwell's getting money. I didn't think he was better than Gainwell.
Not for this team. Like I said, I think there's different roles. I'm projecting him as a backup, because you don't want to. You can never assume that Saquon's going to get hurt, and I think Kenny's better as the sort of utility man than, like, if they needed a feature back, I'd rather have A.J. Dillon than Kenny Gainwell.
Joe Whipp says Gainwell wanted to start. He didn't want to start. He got $650,000 guaranteed.
He got one. Yeah. You got $650,000. You really think he's going to start for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Now they got rid of guys. He walked on them. So
if he does, things went drastically wrong in Pittsburgh. I'll tell you that.
You like what Pittsburgh's done?
I haven't really.
Slay, Metcalf.
I mean,
I don't know what they're doing at quarterback, but
I don't get why Slay's a fit for anybody but Philadelphia at this stage of his career. Why are you bringing in a 35-year-old corner, 34-year-old corner? Are you ready to win the Super Bowl? I know Slay will say that, but like, why would you bring in a 34-year-old cornerback? You're not a legitimate Super Bowl contender. You don't even have a quarterback as of this talking. Why?
I don't know. Maybe they feel like they can compete if they do get the quarterback. They signed Mason Rudolph.
I would never, unless you're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. There's only two guys who fit this definition: Darius Slay and Stephon Gilmore. Unless you're a legitimate Super Bowl contender who needs help at that particular position, I would not sign either of those players. Now, I think on the vast majority of teams, they'd be better than the alternatives, but it's about more than 1 year. You're trying to get younger players up to speed. And if you're not legitimate, you have the luxury of doing that. So, yeah, I don't get – there's a very small amount of teams that I think Darius Slay makes sense for under that definition. And Pittsburgh ain't one of them.
Yeah, I'm with you on that regard. Can't blame Slay for taking the cash.
No
guaranteed, but
no,
I'm with you. All right, let me get to these super chats because Josh is going insane that I haven't read his super. Josh, take a deep breath. Good Lord. I mean, you want to usurp the show. Josh says, do you think Howie might be looking at Marcus Epps, Marcus May, Jonathan Hankins, Calais, maybe? Calais Campbell's like, what? How old is he? 40?
39, maybe. I mean, he could still play, but no, I don't think Calais Campbell is exactly the way they're going. Marcus Epps, they have a history with, obviously, he's in the Tamu Auto, so you never say never. Marcus May would say no. Yeah, bigger names. Marcus May, Jonathan Hankins, Calais. I would say no. Yeah, I mean, you see what they're doing. Generally, Adoree Jackson's the only one going on his third contract. The other guys are 25, 26. That's what they're shooting for. And Adoree's a player they've long adored. So he's a little bit different. But, if Calais Campbell wants to play the game, where you sit out until October.
Yeah.
And there's an injury and he wants to be in Ndamukong Suh or Linval Joseph and somebody gets hurt, maybe that's an option. But
yeah, that makes more sense there. Josh, appreciate the super chat, brother. Sua says, good morning. Good morning, Sua. Appreciate you. And Brian Pumper says, yeah, I got J-Max Vikings winning the offseason championship. Rose Mageddon is killing my number one.
No, I think Chicago still won. I think Chicago.
Pumper thinks you're a Vikings guy. He thinks you're the ultimate Vikings fan.
Well, I mean, then how do you explain? A lot of people do because I used to cover the Vikings. I just know a lot about the Vikings. It's like I know a lot about the Eagles.
Yeah.
A lot of people think I'm an Eagles fan because people think if you cover the team, you have to be a fan of the team. Which is weird.
Yeah.
There's so many people outside of Philadelphia that, well, you like the Eagles. I'm like, dude, you've never listened to me a day in my life. I just said Chicago. I've said from the start of the week, Chicago has been impressive. I've ripped Chicago. So that plays into Brian's theory. I've ripped Chicago for years. I ripped Chicago because they're dumb. This year, they've made a lot of smart decisions and they've started to shift and gone in the right direction. And they're in the same damn division. So how do you explain that, Pump?
I don't know, man. Pumper says, just say it, man. Meat riding the Vikings. Pump. Come on, Pump. I don't think John. I haven't.
Actually, Zander's the one who brought him up and said they were all great moves.
Yeah, I did. Who were you? Were you a fan of a football team when you were a kid? I know you were a big basketball fan.
I was a big Julius Erving fan. And I'm a big Yankees fan.
Yeah, I knew that.
But no, I got in football very early. So it became a job very early in my life. And so I never had that. Like I love Julius Erving. I love Reggie Jackson. But when I covered the Sixers, I got to cover the Sixers. Now I don't like the Sixers.
Yeah, right. That's always how it goes. Suo says, J-Mac, did you get excited for the Super Bowl win, though?
No. Why?
I know it all. Are you kidding me? Not even a little bit. I remember it. Remember it well. Johnny Mac, good show, man. I know you got to run because you got the legendary AJ Dillon will join you via Zoom. So you'll stop Zooming with me and you will Zoom with AJ Dillon. What are your final thoughts on this Friday edition, John?
Temu offseason continues. I should say it. Well, clearance aisle offseason continues. Still got some work to do to draft proof the roster. And we'll see. Maybe we'll be talking later today.
We probably will, right? I mean, it would be hard to believe that we wouldn't be talking about something later today, right?
Probably. You never know. Maybe Howie wants to have a nice weekend. Who knows?
Real quick, last one out the door. If you're the Eagles and somehow got the number one pick of the draft, who would you take? I'm interested to hear who you think is the best player.
Number one? I've already said Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably go Abdul Carter too. I'm not as sold on Travis.
Well, he's also a fit for the Eagles. They need an edge rusher. Yeah,
I'm not as sold on Travis Hunter. Are you?
No, I never like guys who play multiple positions.
You're consistent as you told me. You don't like gimmicks.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I know you don't. All right.
Now, by the way, he can be a great corner. He can be a great receiver, but you have to define him first.
Yeah, right.
I'm not playing them at both. Those people, that ain't working. That ain't working.
Yeah. Johnny Mac, good stuff, brother. We will catch you maybe later on today, if not on Monday's edition of Birds 365. We look forward to listening to your question to AJ Dillon coming up soon. All right, brother?
Yeah, maybe if I get one. All right, we'll see. All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, there's Johnny Mac joining in on Birds 365. He had to run a little early today for the AJ Dillon press conference. The Temu offseason, everybody. This is what it's been dubbed. Whether John wants me to use it or not, I'll be using it. You know, you'll see the video posted on the JAKIB channel coming up after the show. Temu offseason. That's what John called it. Temu offseason. I don't know, everybody. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like the sound of Temu offseason. You know, you guys know me. I'm not a big knockoff guy. All right. I don't like cheap shit. I don't like knockoff shit. I don't like fake stuff. So you tell me it's Temu. I'm not too happy. Callie, you like Travis Hunter. I was going to ask you this. Man, the Travis disrespect has to stop. Kid was ranked #1 player in the country at both cornerback and wide receiver. Yeah, but Callie, you don't think he's going to play both in the pros, do you? Deshay, that's another good one. Tubi TV. Tubi/Temu. This is the cost of draft. Twiz, you're spot on, Twiz. Good take, Twiz. You're spot on, man. The team got too good. Too many guys to pay. Think about it. We let draft picks walk out the door this thing, and that's unlikely. You don't know. You don't see how we won't let many defensive linemen walk out the door like he did this year, but he has to. He does too many good ones. Dang, one thing I meant to ask John about today was Jordan Davis, but that's all right. We'll talk about that next week. Yes, sir. No, sir, I don't. You're right, Zan. Yeah, Cal, I like the player's obviously supremely talented, supremely skilled player, but I don't know what is his plan. And then the other thing, Callie, I wonder is, like, he's kind of had the approach, and maybe he gets this from Dillon, which I like the confidence. I like that type of approach, but is he going to, like, push back if a coach is like, yo, dude, you're not playing both? Or is there going to be any sort of back and forth on that regard? Or is he going to be coachable? Is he going to be, listen to the coaches? I don't know. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's got bad personality or anything, but I just don't know how that's going to play out. Guys coming into the league, younger guys coming into the league now, man, they dictate, man. They're like, oh, I want this. I mean, so happening more and more, we'll see what happens with Travis Hunter. Yeah, we're talking about Travis Hunter, Rich. Eduardo, what's up, my guy? I like Eduardo. Eduardo, I liked when you were on Masilio. You got a knack for being on content. It's not that easy to do. I thought you were a natural. He says, you know what, Z, I'll be perfectly fine if we don't sign anyone moving forward this year. I'm on the boat of seeing what the Young Bucks can do for this team and winning in the draft. Eduardo, you should be on that boat because that's the boat that helped us win a Super Bowl. So there's no doubt we should be on that boat. By the way, I got some business on the air to do at 10 a.m. on the dot, all right? I'm not sure who likes – there's something I'm trying to do specifically at 10 a.m., so I'll do it with you guys on the air. But I got to be on my phone, all right? So just keep in mind I'll be on my phone at 10 a.m., but we'll kick around some comments. I want to thank Josh for the super chat. Josh, you were bitching about the super chat. I will always get to your supers, even if it's delayed, all right? Aziz will happen today. Punjab Kings fan. What are the Punjab Kings? Like, what is that? What the hell is that? A cricket team? A cricket team? You got to be kidding me. How are you the fan of the Eagles and then the Punjab Kings? Holy shit. Where are these guys from? Yep, cricket, dirty air. You nailed it. All right, here we go. Let me see what I got. Anybody know who Nigel Sylvester is? Anybody know who Nigel Sylvester is? Zander, Doug from King of Queens. I don't know what King of Queens. I never watched that show. Is that a show, King of Queens? Never seen it. Not a big show watcher. I've told you guys this. There's like 3 shows I've ever watched in my life. Sopranos, Entourage. Entourage is the greatest show ever made. Nobody will ever tell me otherwise. Actually, Sopranos, you could put 1. Entourage number 2. But I love Entourage. I love Sopranos. And when I was younger, I liked Breaking Bad a lot. All right. When I was younger, I liked Breaking Bad a lot. I'm still wait. Where did Punjab go? Punjab, where are you? I know you do, Crowley. I might watch some more shows this offseason. I don't know, Crowley. I spend 18 hours, 16 hours a day looking at my computer screen. Like sometimes I get off the air and I'm like, the last thing I want to do is look at any screen. You know? Yes, big 90. I'm trying to get them 4s. I need them. We got a minute to go. Oh, so you guys do know. Yeah, Siglord, I'm rewatching Sopranos this offseason. All right. I need these Nigel Sylvesters, though. Need to upgrade that list, but I respect it. Mikey G, give me some upgrades, bro. Give me some upgrades. Josh B, there's just a pair of shoes dropping. Yeah, it's a pair of shoes I like. I really want these shoes. I don't know why I want them so bad, but I really freaking want them. I think they're the coolest 4s I've ever seen. I really want these suckers. And they drop in 15 seconds, so you guys will probably hear my Apple Pay go, and then I'll see if I got them. I don't think I'm going to get them. Big 90s fighting me on them, too. Here we go. We got 6 seconds. Here we go. Let me get these. Oh, 10 minutes now. Join the draw. I didn't know they were doing a draw for him. 11. Continue. All right. Once we're done these, I'll take some of your comments. Yeah, I want the bricks. Whoa, I do not want to ship it there. Oh, done. All right, here we go. I'm submitted. Yeah, 11.5, Barb. You're close. All right, I joined the draw. I don't think I'm going to get them. All right. It's Rich. I've been an account member since 2016. What are you talking about? Never understood the shoe hype. I just like shoes, Dirty Air. I just like shoes. It's like my hats, bro. I like hats. I like shoes, you know? Everything in between I'm good with. I don't really care. Hats and shoes is what I like. Is it comfy? Yeah, cool. No, I like these. And these are crazy. These red shoes, man. They're nuts. I freaking love them. I love these. I will be a happy dude if I get these. I'm not going to lie to you. I'll be a happy ass dude. And conversely, I'll be pissed if I don't get them. I'll be pissed. Who's the other guy in here who was trying to get some shoes? Did he, Oh, Bruce, you got the pine greens. I didn't get them. I missed out on them. I submitted into the raffle for the navies that are coming out this week, but I don't like them as much as the pine greens. Yeah, the brick for bricks I'm trying to get. I've seen the Red Shoe Club, Siglord. These are not that. Pull them up, Z. I'll show you. They're kind of crazy, honestly. I'll pull them up. You guys want to see them? Brick by brick, the Nigels. They're pretty wild. I would imagine most of you, if you don't like shoes, are not going to like them. If you don't like shoes, if you're not like a shoes guy, I would imagine you're not going to like these. These are them. There you go. I like them with the white laces, but the red laces are fire too. See, I'm the type of dude who will wear these shoes with anything. I'm the type of dude, I'll wear them with anything. Temu shoes. Paul's like, why are we talking about shoes? Talk about the Eagles. Talk about the Eagles. Yeah, they're sick. I love them. Removing bots. You could say I'm submitted. I'm submitted on the Nike thing. All right. Look at Pumpers. Too good. Brian, worry about yourself. Looks like you're wearing a liver on your. Oh man, I do get a kick out. Everybody's got different preferences in life. Why do people have such a hard time dealing with these? I always crack up at that. Like, bro, Pumper, you got your own fetishes, whatever they are. All right. Whatever you want, you get. All right. I'll do what I want, Brian. And I will not let your dumbass dictate to me shit, Pumper. Good Lord. Good Lord. Are you a Panthers fan? You're not a Panthers fan, man, are you? Mancini? Yo, Paul Mancini, I'll never forget your comment. Paul, I love you. I don't want to call you out too hard, but I'm going to call you out, all right? Paul, I am going to call you out because I do like your comments. You're obviously a guy that knows football pretty well. You know, you told me the Eagles were getting bounced in round 1 of the playoffs, so in about week 10. All right? You commented it boldly on JAKIB several times. I said, well, we'll see if Paul's right on this one. Super Bowl champs now, Paul. Come on, man. Come on, man. Big 99, did you enter? Did you enter? Did you enter? One guy said every time he's a member. I'm a member. I don't get every pair I want, though. That's for damn sure. I don't know. Where's the dude who said he gets every pair? Dominique. He says, if you're a Nike member on the app, yeah, I use the app, the sneakers app. You'll get every shoe. You'll always get the shoes they raffle. I literally get every shoe I want from Nike. That doesn't happen for me. All right. That doesn't happen for me. Hollywood, I save receipts on everybody because people like to use shit on me. People like to use shit on me. And I'm like, bro, I talk about football every day. All right. You guys can view everything from a macro. Your takes aren't broadcasted every day. If they were broadcasted every day, I guarantee all you knuckleheads would be wrong more than you're right. All right? That's everybody. It's football. Oh, that's nice, Eduardo. Rocket, bro. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yo, what's up, Punjab? Nike must use the same picker as Zander. Speaking of it, who got their memberships in? All right? I ordered a boatload of Super Bowl merch from the Eagles merch site. All right. So I'm going to give away a bunch of stuff again. All right. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. I just ordered t-shirts because I'm like, it's March. Like, I don't want to I could have ordered some sweatshirts too, but you know, I spent like almost $1,000. So I was trying to keep it reasonable by maximizing what I can give to people. Matt NJ, they're still doing the drawing and it's going to take at least 10, 15 minutes. So, all right. Bird Gang Girl, I appreciate that for being a legend, man. All of our legend members. We still got most of our legend members are still on, man. Over 50 of them still. So appreciate it. Buy a bot and write it off. Mad Bird, I don't know. Well, how do you do that? I never even looked into it. I'm not going to lie to you. All right. I need to get a pair of the Punjab. Nice dirty air. Nice dirty air. What do you guys think of John McMullen calling this the Temu offseason? I don't think that's necessarily a glowing endorsement. All right. I don't think that's necessarily a glowing endorsement. Calling this a Temu offseason. I can't say that that's a good thing, that John McMullen used that word. I mean, John McMullen's pretty practical, right? John McMullen is not, a high or low type of guy. And he's calling it a Temu offseason. Ugh. And you could tell he wanted to take it back right away. But once you say it, John, it's going on the thumbnail. It's going on the thumbnail. Yeah, if you don't win it, Devin, you got to buy them resale, which I will not be doing. If I don't get these, I'm not buying them resale. Right now, they're like $650 on resale, bro. Yeah, Bob, Bob, you could see on J-Mac's face right when he said it, this was his concern. Right when he said it, he knew. All right? He knew. He's like, oh, shit, I shouldn't have said that. Shit, I shouldn't have said that. You could see it. Hopefully his parking spot doesn't get removed at the NovaCare. Hopefully they don't remove his press pass. Bob Langs already won't give JAKIB a press pass. I'm going to call Bob soon. Come on, Bob. I glazed Harrison Bryant for you, Bob. Where's my press credential? Come on, Bob. Joe Whip, you know Bob, don't you? Come on, man. The Mo Mommy, J-Mac and Sills need to be traded. No. Maybe it'll make Howie do something. I don't think Howie needs to do anything. I really don't. Like, I can joke about it being Temu and also say, look, this is where the team is right now. We have drafted so good. We built such a good roster that you're getting rid of guys and we're upset we're getting rid of them, but most teams get rid of these guys every year and nobody bats an eye. But because they're so good, because the Philly roster was so good, it hurts a little bit more. You know? So I think Howie's doing what he needed to do right now. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, you know? If Quadzilla is listening, he should fire back at John with that. I'm a Temu guy. I don't know. For reals. What do you think, bro? What do you think? Look, I got to unblur the background. I'm working on a new camera, for reals. I know I've been saying this, but I'm working on a new camera so that you can see this better. But how dope does that look? For reals. Every time someone walks in my studio, you know what they say? Holy shit. It looks sick, bro. And I even got the remote. I changed the colors. Look. You got white. You got the blue. You got green. Look at this. You got red. Orange. Another green. I mean, all these colors. This thing is so sick. Depending on my mood, I change the color. Depending on my mood, I change the color. All right, I'm still in the draw. What's going on this? Spend less on kangaroos and more on cameras. Joe, shut up. Worry about yourself, Joe. I have a camera. Wait, look at the camera. I would say this isn't a shitty camera. I'm just technically challenged. I'm technically challenged. How's this? It's a Sony 6400. This is a nice camera, Joe. All right, Whip. I just got to get better at setting it up. Because really my barrier isn't as much setup as much as it is. StreamYard kind of sucks, so I got to move on from StreamYard. But then I got to deal with onboarding for John and Cilio. Both of them are like technically challenged. And then the guests, like this is super easy for our guests. And most of our guests are technically challenged and old, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. So there's a lot of things, man. There's a lot of things that go into it. All right. Bob Brown, I shit on somebody yesterday for this comment. Yo, dickhead. Yo, dickhead. Bob Brown. Yeah, I'm calling you that. You guys want to see my studio? Look, there's the JAKIB sign. Look, you got some JAKIB history up on the wall. I got my crucifix over there. There's a camera. There's a Nike shoebox. There's some other history from JAKIB. There's a light. And then on the wall, I got two miracle things over there. Over here, I got my hats. Up there, you can see I got JAKIB Birds 365 National Football Show. What else? There's a bookcase. You can see I got some shoes down there. A world champion book, a racing helmet, an F1 thing. Yeah, you hater. Bob Brown, put him on the list of haters. Put him on the list of haters. Put Bob Brown on the list of haters. Come on, Bob. Eagles Eric, what's up, bro? I forgot to respond to you. I'll respond to you. I was thinking about what to do, but we'll talk about it, bro. I'll reach out to you and see what we can do. Appreciate you being here, man. Appreciate you being here. We had a good show today, though. I was waiting to see if I won these things on the air because I was waiting to see. Eagle Eric, yeah, he's great. I love his breakdowns on you can tell he knows what's going on. I'm still in this draw. Come on, Nike. Give me my response, will you? Freaking Nike. Let me ask Eagles Eric. Eagles Eric, are you still here? Eagles Eric, are you still here? I'm going to go and buy 10 more Kangos today because of Joe Whip. I'm going and buying 10 more Kangos. Actually, I don't even know if there's 10 colors left that I didn't get yet. I'm going and buying 10 more Kangos. Eagle Eric, what do you think of the Eagles offseason so far? Because Johnny Mack called it a Temu offseason. He called it a Temu offseason so far. So, you know, I know you're a football guy. You're obviously a guy that dives into the game of football deeply, and you understand it, and you have great breakdowns. I love what you've done with the salaries and stuff like that, predicting and stuff. But, you know, Eagles making good moves. Is this business as usual, necessary business? I'm curious to hear what you say about what they've done so far because, you know, while there's nothing crazy that they've done, I don't really think that you could do much. They've drafted so well. They got such good players coming up to pay, and there's going to be turnover. There was always going to be turnover after you lose a Super Bowl like that. So I didn't get them. I don't necessarily think they made bad moves, but that sucks. Here's Eagles Eric. Let's see what he's got to say. Eagles Eric, thanks, bro. Howie's pulling the Band-Aid off. The cap isn't real narrative has officially died. When you have a lot of good players come due in the same year, you have to make tough decisions. One criticism. Let's hear the criticism. Is Rodgers, who only got $5.5 million. Yeah, I thought for him, and the other one I thought, me and John talked about today, Eagles Eric, was like Kenny Gainwell. Like they signed A.J. Dillon. Kenny Gainwell got $650,000 guaranteed. Like, did they just not like Kenny G? I thought they did like Kenny G. Howie was like hugging him and stuff. I thought he was a Kenny G guy, but I don't know. Is Rodgers at $5.5 million better than Adoree Jackson at what'd they get Adoree Jackson for? I think he was veteran minimum. Damn, I'm pissed I didn't get the freaking fours. Really wanted them. I'm pissed. Yeah, they got what do they have? 4 fifth-rounders now? They have too many fifth-rounders and a bunch of thirds next year. They could move, yeah. They do have a bunch of draft picks. I think it's like up to 20 now. That's up to 20. I think it'll be 20 once Becton's gone. If Becton goes, Becton's interesting, man. Eagle Eric, what do you have on contract projection for Becton? Yeah, me too. Yeah, we both missed out, bro. Gainwell sucks ass, Zander. Give it a rest. We good. All right, bro. All right. Wow. That's high, man. Do you think that ship has sailed? I think I don't know. John has been saying from the jump that this is a really hard one to gauge because, you know, I'll video Eric in if Eric wants to join. Eric, I don't know if you're, I don't know, I don't know if you're ready to join a show right now at 10 in the morning, but if you want to join, I will give you the link. I'll bring you up. You know, Becton's tough to gauge, though, because of that injury, the knee and stuff like that. Obviously, you know, you saw guys like Will Freeze get $88 million, but, you know, I do wonder if that market's inflated. Like John said, he doesn't even think the Eagles will go to $8 million. He doesn't even think they would go to $8 million. So if he gets 14, I mean, obviously he's gone. But I don't know if he's going to get 14 because of the knee, you know? Interior O-line market's inflated with the free agent scarcity. Yeah, free agents are not very good. Free agents are not very good. All right, I'm now in a bad mood. All right. Bought it. Someone just DM me, bought it. Unfortunately, didn't get him. Brian Pumper could have got him. Big Z, in your opinion, what's the best casual shoe? It all depends on your foot, man. Like, do you like Nike? I like Nikes because I'm just a Nike guy. I'm a Nike guy. I like Nikes. You know, I'm not a big Adidas guy. I like Nikes. So I wear Nikes. But if you want like a walking shoe, I don't know. People wear those goofy Hokas. My whole family wears Hokas. I'm like, I'm not getting them. New Balance is solid. Hoka. What's the other one that what people wear? On Cloud. No, I'm out on them. There you go. Joe Whip, who was trolling me for buying hats and sneakers, checks in with Skechers. All right. Brooks are good. Brooks are very comfortable. Very comfortable, Brooks. All right, I'm getting out of here. Nike SBs are great. I want the SB4s. I might have to pivot. I might have to pivot to the SB4s after I failed on the bricks, on the Nigel Sylvesters. All right, everybody. I appreciate you all checking in. Make sure you hit that like button. We've had a good, really good viewership all week. It's been a good week so far for, just the NFL as a whole. We talked about some of the things the other teams did, which is pretty impressive. Some moves were made. Some teams got better. Some teams didn't. I like what the Bears did. I like what the Vikings did. But, what the heck is J.J. McCarthy going to be? Who knows? We don't know about that. So we'll see what they end up doing there. But, I don't think the NFC East particularly got much better. I look at the Commanders' moves. I'm sorry, James Jones. I know you're a resident Commander fan. I don't see it, my dude. I don't see it. Cowboys added a bunch of players. I mean, Kenneth Murray, Kyer Elam. I kind of like Kyer Elam, but not my favorite. Giants added Hudson and Chauncey Golston and Paulson Adebo, Javon Holland. I like Adebo and Javon Holland. Let's see what Paul's got. Bears, Patriots, Broncos, Panthers, Seattle. Seattle, I guess. What are they doing at quarterback in Seattle? Did they get their quarterback yet? They moved. It's Sam Darnold. Forgot about him. No way. You got them? No. Yeah, what size are you? I'll buy him off you for double. I'll buy him off you for double. This is some bullshit. TK Washington gets him. Damn. Yeah, Cowboys got Miles Sanders. That's not moving the needle for me, Deshae. Sorry, man. That's not moving the needle for me at all. All right? Fucking TK. Now I'm even more. Now we got somebody that I felt better when all the other chat guys were like, I didn't get him. Now we got TK coming in. Oh, I got him. All right, TK. All right, TK. All right, I'm getting out of here. I got to post a podcast, get some other clips posted up on the channel. Temu offseason. You're going to be seeing that on some titles. All right? You're going to be seeing that in some titles. All right? Temu offseason from Johnny Mac. We'll see what they do. All right, appreciate all you guys checking in today. Great shows as usual. Thank you, Eagles Eric, for checking us out. And all the people who are here. Hit that like button on the way out. Catch you next time, everybody, on Birds 365.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.